On a quiet Sunday evening in August 1971, the world changed, and most people didn't even notice. A single speech broadcast from the White House would rewrite the meaning of money itself. The man speaking wasn't a revolutionary nor a billionaire. He was the President of the United States, Richard Nixon, and with just a few words, he ended a promise that had held the global economy together for more than a century. This is the story of how one speech destroyed the gold standard, unleashed modern inflation, and reshaped the world we live in today. For hundreds of years, money wasn't just paper. It was trust, and that trust was backed by gold. Every dollar, every pound, every franc could be exchanged for a fixed amount of gold. It meant you couldn't simply print more money without owning the metal to back it. Gold was honest. Gold was stable. Gold kept governments in check. After World War II, the United States became the financial center of the world. Under a global deal known as the Bretton Woods system, other countries agreed to fix their currencies to the US dollar, and the dollar itself was tied to gold. It was a system built on faith, and that faith depended on America's promise. By the 1960s, that promise was starting to crack. The United States was spending billions on the Vietnam War, the space race, and domestic programs at home. To fund it all, Washington printed more dollars than it had gold to back. Foreign nations, especially France, began to suspect that America couldn't keep its word. They started demanding gold in exchange for their dollars. Shipments of gold began leaving the US Treasury vaults by the ton. For the first time, the world's richest nation looked vulnerable. The dollar was under attack. The trust was collapsing, and Nixon's team faced a terrifying reality. If they didn't act, America could run out of gold, and the global financial system would implode. August 15th, 1971. Millions of Americans sat in their living rooms as President Nixon addressed the nation. Calmly, he announced a move no one expected. "I have directed Secretary Connally to suspend temporarily the convertibility of the dollar into gold." In one sentence, the connection between the US dollar and gold was gone. The gold standard was dead, and with it, the last tie between money and something real vanished forever. Around the world, panic spread through financial markets. The fixed exchange rates collapsed. Inflation exploded. Oil prices tripled. For the first time in modern history, money was backed by nothing but government promises, what we now call fiat currency. It was the beginning of a new era, one where money could be printed endlessly, debt could grow without limit, and wealth could shift overnight. Central banks became the new gods of the economy. With one policy change, Nixon had traded stability for control, and the rest of the world had no choice but to follow. Today, everything we buy, borrow, and believe in traces back to that night in 1971. Every credit card swipe, every government bailout, every cryptocurrency, all born from a world where money no longer had an anchor. Since then, global debt has exploded. The cost of living rises year after year, and the value of our money slips quietly away. Some call it progress, others call it the beginning of endless inflation. But whatever you call it, it all started with one speech. In August 1971, Richard Nixon didn't just change the dollar, he changed the definition of money itself. The gold that once represented honesty and value became just another story in a museum. And we entered a new world, one built on paper, pixels, and promises. Because in the end, money isn't gold, paper, or digital code. Money is trust, and trust can be broken in one speech. Subscribe to Epic Economy, where history meets money.